Hello and welcome to the Scratch Advanced Pong tutorial. I'm going to start you from this screen right here where you've signed up for Scratch. Make sure you're always logged in. Your username should show up over here. And you would start by going to Create. We're going to create a new project from Scratch. And just make sure that before you start this, you've gone to Tutorials and you've gone to the Pong game. This is the basic one. Otherwise, it's going to be too difficult to jump right into the advanced one. So please make sure that you've done this first. All right, let's get started. So instead of calling this untitled, let's call it with our first name. And then the title of the game. You'll notice that we can go to File and Save at any point, and it will show up here that it's saving. You can get back to your file at any point by clicking on this folder. And a few more Scratch basics just to review with you. So we've got the game space over here, the coding space over here. We can see the game space, we can modify how big it is. We can make it smaller so more code shows up. We can make it medium size, or we can make it full screen like so. So when you're actually testing your game, you'd want it to be full screen. Okay, at this point, what I want to do is just kind of review the coordinates with you. So we've got this cat in the middle who is in the exact center. We can see down here it's x0, so x is horizontal, and y0, y is vertical. You can see if I move this guy up here, he is now got positive coordinates for both x and y. And if I move him down here, we've got a positive x and a negative y. If I move him over here, we've got a negative x and a negative y. And if I move them up here, we've got a negative x and a positive y. That's just a review of coordinates with you, which is kind of essential to be able to do games like this. We don't actually need the cat for this game, so we're going to go ahead and delete him now. I'm going to start just by adding some sprites. I'm going to add the ball that we're going to need. And I am also going to add a paddle. You can do a search to find these things quickly. I'm also going to add a line. Okay, these are the three major things that I need to get started. I'm going to have my game so it's playing back and forth like this horizontally. You can see right now the line is going to be, there's going to be a red line here and a green line here, and that's going to help me actually determine whether or not somebody scored a point. So the first problem we have, and I mean you could play this top to bottom instead, but I recommend that for the first time when you try this, you do things exactly like I do them. It will just make it a little bit easier for you. So the first thing I realize is that the line is going the wrong way. It's going horizontally and I want it vertically. So I'm going to go ahead to the motion controls and I'm going to get a point in direction. You can see that it's 90 degrees right now. I'm going to actually change this so that it's going down to 180. Now, if I have it at 180 and I press that once, you can see that the line changes nicely for me. I'm now going to try to put this over so that it's on the side. It really doesn't matter if it's too long as it's filling up the game space. And I'm going to make an exact copy of this, and I'm going to put that on the other side. There we go. Now, I need one to be red and one to be some other color. It really doesn't matter what colors you choose. I'm going to make sure that I'm on that line. You can see if I double click, it tells me that I'm on this line. And I'm going to try to change that to green by going to costume. We were under code, now we're under costumes. I'm going to go ahead and fill it with a green color instead. And I'm going to make sure I have the fill tool. And then I'm going to click on the bar. Now that line becomes green. Okay, so let's move to the paddle. Again, the paddles are going to sit in front of these lines. And they're going to try to protect the ball from hitting those colors. You can see that the paddle's also facing the wrong direction for what I'm trying to do. So let's get a point in direction, and let's change this to 180 as well. I just click on it to activate it, and you can see there we go. I'm going to go to costumes as well. I'm going to change this to a black color for my paddles. Again, you could do whatever color you want. And I'm going to fill that in with black. There we go. Okay, I'm now going to move this paddle over so it's protecting the red line. And again, the size of the paddle, you can experiment with all that later. This first tutorial, all we're trying to do is set up the general game space. So I've got the paddle where I want it, so I'm going to make an exact copy of that as well, the duplicate option. we're going to go ahead and put this one over here, protecting the green. So obviously one of these paddles is going to be the single player, and the other is going to be the computer, because this is a one-player game. Our goal in this game is to make 3 levels of Pong that get progressively more difficult for the user. So the first level can be easy, second one medium, third one very challenging. So what I'm going to do right now, this paddle 2 is actually this one right here, but that's not very obvious. So I'm now going to change the name of the sprite. These are all called sprites, by the way. Sprites are just like objects in Scratch. I'm going to change this to player paddle. There we go. And the other one, if you see I double click on that, you can see that it's definitely that one. I'm going to change this one to computer paddle. All right. I don't think I really need to change the names of the lines because it's kind of obvious that one's red and one's green. The ball itself, we could make it a little bit smaller. We could do that either by trying to shrink it in here, or I like to just use code, honestly. So if we take a looks under this section, we can see set size 2. Right now it's 100%, which is pretty big. So I'm going to change that to 60 just to start, and I'm going to double click on it, and you can see that the ball adjusts. All right, last thing I'm going to do in this first part of the tutorial is to give it a more interesting backdrop. So backdrops are down here. These are treated differently than sprites. These are the things that lie behind the sprites. So I'm going to choose a backdrop from here, and really you could do anything you want. So just kind of look through these ones and decide what you like. I'm going to do the neon tunnel for this one, just for the sake of the demo. And there you can see I have a good start to my game. So that's it for tutorial number 1 in the Scratch Advanced Pong game. Next time we're going to talk about how to actually put motion to the ball and how to start completing some of level 1.